San Diego was just identified as one of the top 5 cities to be hardest hit by the current housing slowdown. So, are we actually seeing that in the numbers? Well, let's take a look. Hi, I'm Nick with the Iannitti Group. I just want to come at you with a real quick housing update for February. Okay, and let's do this. Let's hop over, starting right here. Some good news. Right as I record this video, we've started to see a little bit of stability coming back to the mortgage rate. Remember, this is really what caused the slowdown here about halfway through last year. We saw the mortgage rate actually double in 2022. That's never happened before. And it basically just eroded any sense of affordability. What buyers were experiencing were increasing mortgage rates and increasing prices, and they really just had to take a breather. Now that we're down at that 6% range, hopefully that can hold for a little while, bring some stability back and bring some buyers back in. Okay, we definitely know when we look at it here, anything below 6.5% of a mortgage rate is going to be some good buyer demand, but really we'd really like to be below 6% to have that strong buyer demand return. Keep in mind the demographics are still saying that we should have strong buyer demand if we can get through this affordability crisis brought on by rates. Okay, I thought this was interesting, kind of back to, again, when people were seeing increase in rates and increase in home prices, a lot of people that were calling for a crash saw this and said, look, through the beginning part of this year, new listings coming to market were drastically below where we were in years past. And if that trajectory continued up here, trying to catch up and buyer demand continued to drop, we were going to see a huge disparity in supply and demand and cause a big price decrease. Well, that actually didn't happen. This is what happened. We saw more sellers not coming to market through the second half of the year once things started to slow, and that actually gave us a little bit of price stability. We haven't seen the crash that people were calling for. Yes, we've seen prices pull back, and I'll talk about that here in just a second. By the way, we can see this here in San Diego, right? When we look at new listings down here, we look basically at 2022 as they were rising up to kind of keep in track with previous years. And then we saw this big decline in the second half of the year, okay? We also know basically when we looked at home values kind of started to kind of pull back basically. Obviously, June, July, August were the big slides, right? And then things started to taper off as we got towards Q4. We saw that again here in San Diego, if I can get over there actually. When we're looking at basically our sales price, right? This is what we want to look at, okay? So real quick, we're sitting right here at $750,000. Remember, these are median prices. These are all types of properties, right? All prices, all median prices countywide, right? We're at 755, which you can see is down 1.3% year over year. But when we look at the height was here in May at 855. We're now at 750, right? So we lost about 12%. But keep in mind, another thing to realize, right, is that November we hit 750, December 749, January 750, right? So we've really kind of plateaued right here, or kind of bottomed out, right? We're not seeing these things continually taper off. You know what I mean? So that's actually really good news. The other thing though, when you look at it this way, is we were basically in December 2021, we closed the year at 750,000. It's right where we're at right now. So basically we had a huge gain in February, March, and April of 2022, and we basically gave all those gains away by the end of the year. So that's kind of where we're at, okay? Continuing on though, basically, this is basically what the numbers look like. Again, remember, median numbers, all housing types, countywide. I already told you sales price was down 1.3% at 750. Active market time, 28 days, that's up 154%. Again, we know things are taking longer to sell now. Sold price was up 1.2% year over year, but that also is down about 10% from the height of last year. Our months of inventory, though, this is the real killer. This is what I was talking about here in these previous graphs, right? We're still only at 1.2 months worth of inventory. Yes, that's up 70% year over year, but remember, we need 6 months of inventory for a healthy housing market. 7 months of buyer's market, 4 months of seller's market. So still very much a seller's market from an inventory standpoint. We just had an affordability crisis with these interest rates, which were brought on by the current administration inflating our currency higher than has ever happened in the history of the country. So anyway, keep in mind that the numbers here above the line are our lagging indicators, telling us where the market's been. Our numbers below are the leading indicators, telling us where the market is going. And it's not looking terribly good right now, right? Obviously, active listings are down, new listings are down 28%. And realize this is the core right here, right? New listings, we're not having as many listings coming to market, and things are taking longer to sell, right? So we see active listings taking longer on the market, and ultimately the pending holding listings are also declining as well too. So what does that all mean? Well, there's a couple of things on the horizon. We've been getting a lot of conflicting data, right? We've been talking here, especially in my videos, that I thought part of last year we were already in a recession. We had 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP. Remember, that's not an official definition. However, that was offset by these really good jobs numbers, right? Well, now we're starting to find out the jobs numbers were kind of overcooked. They weren't actually accurate, although we just had another quarter of pretty decent GDP. So we're getting a lot of conflicting data. We know that we're having a lot of layoffs in the tech sector. We're going to have to see what can happen. But we do know if we can get some stability in that mortgage rate, from a demographic standpoint, there's plenty of people on the sidelines that want to come back into that market. If they can do so, basically kind of restore that affordability of the home market, we'll start to see home sales start to take off again. And that's kind of this first in, first out kind of a housing marker for any type of recession. We always see this large ticket items start to slow down first, but it's basically these necessities like housing that will ultimately lead us back out of any type of recession. So we'll just have to see what happens there. Anyway, if you have questions about what do these numbers mean, what is your home worth, is this a good time to buy or sell in San Diego for you, just reach out, let me know. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have. Okay, that's it. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, who you choose to negotiate for you absolutely matters.